I'm going to have our esteemed guest of honor, Rocky Bleier, do an introduction. And I say that for me, watching your life, it's just amazing to me. So I'll let you have the camera because I got a couple of questions for you after that.
Well, that's fine. As you've heard the story with everybody else that had served in Vietnam and how it impacted them and changed it. To some degree, we all went through that. I unfortunately came back to a high-profile industry trying to make the professional football team of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was there as a rookie when I got drafted out of that season into the armed services and ended up in Vietnam in 1969. Ultimately was wounded twice during that period of time, and then spent 9 months in the hospital thereafter. But coming out, so because of that high-profile industry, coming back and trying to make the Pittsburgh Steelers, I've had the opportunity to write a book about it, had a movie made on it, and so to some degree, it elevated my position as a Vietnam veteran. But I always had a feeling about my brothers that I fought with, that they didn't get that recognition that was assumed by everybody else, and fight their own battles from serving the country, from repressing the feelings, from non-acceptance by the American people when they came back. There was some resilience for them to be able to survive, and ultimately they have when they came of age. So it's really now not to be forgotten, the impact of that conflict on the generation that is now coming of age, older, and the scars that they had to wear and go through becomes very important for future generations, and how we are perceived and how we are accepted. That will determine how we feel for us in the future. The whole impact of what we're trying to get accomplished is just that, of recognizing veterans for what they've done, for the impact that they've made, and for the service that they provided to our country. And not to take it in a general just, hey, thank you for your service, but a real understanding of what that means to generations that have been there before us, and then that will follow us in this continuous conflict that we have within our in our countries. So to be able to kind of bring those stories here, understanding for the American people of what in that generation of Vietnam veterans and how important it is to the success that we have as a country and how we view our veterans in the future.
You know, you and I have had some great conversations in the past about your experience in the military, and there are things about you that I'm going to say that I think are very important that speak to your character. One thing, when we talked about when you were drafted, there were people that were willing to help you get out of that in some way or some fashion. And you said, no, I'm just going to go. And what really impressed me was the fact that you were offered the opportunity to be an officer, to go through officer candidate school, and you chose to serve as an enlisted rifleman in the infantry as an M79 grenade launcher guy, right?
That's right. Well, you know, I mean, all that stuff, those decisions that you make at that time and age, you know, for me specifically, were based on what I wanted to do with the rest of my life thereafter. That obviously was to play football or get back into the NFL in some form or nature. Putting my time in, you know, in the military, okay, that was happening during that period of time. I didn't get in the reserves, I didn't get in the National Guard, you know, things fell through the cracks, whatever it might be. So Ultimately, I got my draft notification, so the questions were, hey, you could leave the country. People were doing that back then, if you remember that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Nowhere to start back here, right?
Right. So obviously the point was, okay, fine, you serve, Now, being an officer, we had a college education, you had some saying, why don't you become an officer? Well, I thought about that, but that was more commitment to being in the service. And let's be honest, at that time, and it was like, okay, fine, I'll put my my time in, get my obligation out of the way, and be in the reserves thereafter, like everybody else. So so I opted to be. Now, I did not know that I was going to get orders to go to Vietnam right away, or end up as a M79 Grenadier over there, and so on and so. But it's like all of our stories. Who knew at that time where it was going to happen or where we were going to end up? And you just kind of go through that process. And so, so that experience was very, very important in my life. Now, even now, as I look back, the fact is that whether or not it was Vietnam, I did my responsibility to serve my country. I put time in. I was fortunate to be able to come back and play this game and be a part of a team that goes on and win 4 Super Bowls and be a part of that success. So, knock on wood.
They call it the ultimate comeback story.
I don't know if it's the ultimate comeback story.
But you weren't just scratched. You were really wounded.
Well, yeah. So I got shot through. Yeah. So I got shot through the left leg the first time that day, and I got hit with a grenade that blew up through my lower legs and my right foot. And so the prognosis was I'd never be able to come back to play the game because of the damage that was done to those parts of my bodies. But, I get, sometimes you think, okay, fine. No, we all grow up. And here, what did I tell people? We'll grow up. We grow up, we play in the backyard. We play pickup games, with our friends. And, and I don't think that any one of us growing up got out of there without some scrapes or something. Like, sprained ankle or, twisted knee or bumps and bruises all down, And there's kind of a lesson that you learn. And what is it? Oh, it hurts. It hurts. And then mom kisses it and then it gets a little better. You go see a doctor. And, 2-3 weeks or a month goes by. And then what? Then you're back out doing the same stuff again, And so that was that kind of a thought process that I had. So, okay. And I look and I go, all right, fine. You got injured. I didn't lose a leg, I didn't lose an arm, damage. Hey, we've been there before. Well, it heals and ultimately you go back out and play. And so that was kind of my thought. And so that got me through that period of time, no matter how long I was in the hospital or the operations you went through, okay, fine. And eventually you go back and you start working out again. And I was doing that towards the end of my stay in the hospital as I was an outpatient, and then when I got out of the service, training camp. And so the good Steelers invited me back to training camp, and especially the Rooney family, and so I went through training camp, and through the kindness of their heart, they let me stay in training camp at Chuck Knoll. Ultimately cut me at the end, and rightly so. And he said, go back next year, go back and we'll invite you next year and get yourself healthy and so on. Dan Rooney, who was then a general manager running the organization, gave me a call. He said, I'm sorry that I wasn't there. When Chuck, he said, I talked to him, we said, we're going to put you on injured reserve, have our doctors take a look at you and give you another operation, whatever is needed. And his whole thing is that, well, you served our country, so at least you should have an opportunity to and to take care of you. And so they bought me a year, and so then came back the following year, and I made the taxi squad or the developmental squad. So they bought me 2 years to heal and get the little bit swing, and so then you have to do something with an opportunity of that nature. And so I got a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and as I tell people, I come back to training camp. This is in 1972, and I'm the leading ground gainer during the exhibition season. Thank you very much.
There you go.
But they keep me now. Okay, so they keep me on. I play special. I'm playing on special teams. Never carried the ball the remaining part of that whole season, but hey, better than the year before. A year accredited. Came back the following year again. Training camp, leading ground gainer during the exhibition season.
Mm-hmm.
Got to carry the ball once during that season, better than the year before. And then all of a sudden, you go through this process, and like all processes, and you go, okay, where's your future? I mean, you to make the team again, and this was coming into 1974, you make the team again. With every free agent, draft choice, and rookie again to be able to make that team.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't think it was fair. I thought, well, maybe my life's going someplace else. Okay, and we all get to that point in our life. I mean, I did come back and try to make the team a chance to play, maybe not to the level I thought, but hey, that wasn't part of the deal, and so I left the team.
Mm-hmm.
I left the team after 73, and I got enough credits for my minimum retirement, from the NFL during that period of time, and so I left, only to get a call from a teammate of mine. And this was I was living in Chicago, and I was selling life insurance. And he was coming in to visit, and he said, let's get together.
Mm-hmm.
I declined only because I wasn't going back, and I didn't feel a part of that team. And he pushed, and I declined. He pushed, and then he asked me why. I said, well, I quit. I'm not coming back. And he said, you can't quit. He said, if you quit, think about it. What you have already done is you've already made a decision for that coaching staff. You like them well enough to make the decision. Well, then he said, no. If this is what you want to do, you come back and you make them make a decision. You back them in the corner. You give. But you don't cut yourself. The reality of this game is that we're all expendable. The reality of this game is we all can be cut at any time, but if this is what you want, then you don't cut yourself. And maybe it was just the interesting, as I tell people, I needed from an older brother I didn't have, and I went back. Everything that I had perceived did take place. And I had to fight with every free agent, draft choice, and rookie once again to be able to make the team. Leading ground gainer during the exhibition season. Thank you very much. Now, the reason I tell you is that the reason that I was a leading ground gainer during the exhibition season wasn't because of the fact that I was bigger, better, faster than all the other running backs. It was the simple fact that I played more than anybody else during that period of time. I carried the ball more than anybody else during that period of time. Given those two simple statistics, I better be the leading ground gainer during that period of time, because all they were providing for me was what? Mm-hmm. An opportunity to be able to make the team. And they had to keep me. And I was the fifth running back out of four at the beginning of the season. Back playing special teams once again. Things happen. Franco Harris got hurt in the first game. The backup became the starter. I became the backup. Wow, I've never been there before, so it was renewed bigger that first game, second game, third game, the backup got hurt, and I'm inserted in the game and fullback. My running mate, right before the half, breaks one 51 yards down the sideline, scores, gives us a lead. We go into halftime, go over assignments, adjustments. So I'm thinking to myself, who's going to start the second half? The guys that got you the lead in the first half. So we get to start the second half, and as a team, we win that game. So we get to start the following week. And as a team, we win that game. And the week thereafter, it's a Monday night game, an extra day of healing. Franco Harris now becomes healthy. That's okay. At least I got to play, show, prove what I could do. And we had a pregame meal, and afterwards we get a breakout. All the running backs get together, and we go over assignments, adjustments, and our running back coach comes up to us and said, okay, fine, Franco, you and Rock will start tonight. Now you have to understand, momentarily I was quite confused. I didn't know how we both could play the same position at the same time. When it finally dawned on me that I was going to play the fullback position as I had been playing, I was going to play the other half, the other position. Nobody told me that. I wish they would have been better prepared going into the game, but we get to start the game. And as a team, we win that game. So we get to start the ball league. And as a team, we win that game. And we start the remaining part of the seasons. And we win the division. And we get into the playoffs. And we win the playoffs. And we go to the Super Bowl for the first time. And we win the Super Bowl. And we play 6 more years together. Win 3 more Super Bowls. And in 1976, Franco and I became the second set of running backs in the history of the NFL, each to gain 1,000 yards rushing in the same season.
Yeah, I remember.
And after 12 years, I retired. So that is, that's kind of the process of being in the right place, right time, but not giving up, but having a focus of what you want to become and a belief and getting support along the way. And it's like everything else that we do, especially helping veterans today, that sometimes they lose sight of what they want to become. And it's our responsibility to be able to guide them and give them opportunities to be able to change their lives. And so